Now, the stocks keep going down, then boom, we hit new highs. Everything is different now, but you don't gotta chase. Don't panic, don't stress. Time to realign, plan it out, invest. It's the First Fruits Podcast. We elevating with the First Fruits Podcast. No time for waiting, time to grow, give back, reinvest like that. Everything you need to know, the First Fruits Podcast. Let's go.
Welcome. Man, the first episode of the year of the First Fruits Stock Club. Let me give another cheer for a new year. Man, we, a new year is never promised to us. So to be here for another year, to do it all over again, to start all over, right? And to, I don't know if you believe in wiping the slate clean and trying new things or just taking hold of the new year. We all should just be thankful, right, that we get another chance at it because, man, we lost a lot of people last year, right? So, man, we just have to be thankful. Man, I have a show for you guys today, right? And the topic of the show is the S&P 500 and dividends. 2026, the year of the S&P 500 plus dividends. Man, I thought long and hard after taking, a break at the end of the year, which we all should do, right? We all should take a break at the end of the year to recalibrate, spend some time with family, develop some new ideas and develop a new plan to attack the new year, right? That's what we all should be doing. So I pondered about how should I start the first show off in the new year? And I had to start it off with my predictions. Last year I didn't do a prediction. I really don't kind of get into the prediction thing. I'm a old Buffettologist where, he believes that, you shouldn't give predictions, right? You just invest, you have an idea, have a thesis, right? And you execute that. But, look, you have to, for entertainment value, right? On YouTube, you need to have a thesis. And my thesis is that this is the year of the S&P 500. This is the year that you want to be invested now, which is really isn't a lot. The top stocks in the S&P 500 really isn't there's not a big difference than the top stocks in the NASDAQ 100, but there are a few differences, right? And so today we're going to go through that. All right, we're going to go through that. I'm going to discuss about the new Fed chair. We're going to discuss big oil, what's going on with big oil, right? We're going to also, man, we're going to talk. I'm going to discuss some of the top stocks for the first week of the year, right? And I'm outlining a few stocks, and I got a secret about one of the stocks that's going bananas right now, right? If you don't know, I'm going to give that information, but you got to stay and watch the show. Got to stay and watch the show. All right, so look, before we get started, man, I ask everybody always to please to subscribe, to like, to share. Please, we're trying to grow. I'm trying to grow the show, trying to get more people, my information out to more people. The First Fruit Stock Club podcast and show, and we can't do that without you guys. And man, the show is growing. Man, we're close to 500 subs. Man, making our way up to my goal is make my way up to 1,000 subs by the end of the year. We are growing as a show. I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity. There's a lot of information out here online, and I'm hoping I'm bringing value. All right. So let's start it off in the news. Man, Kevin Hassett is going to be said a 41% chance that he will be the new Federal Reserve chair, right? And that's the odds, a 41% chance. And everyone is thinking that Kevin has said he has Donald Trump's eye for the economy, and people believe, Donald Trump's been raving or has requested, right? He wants lower rates in the market, and Kevin Hassett will give Donald Trump his wish, right? I believe that. So, in saying that, right, we have to look at, while the Nasdaq is usually good for stocks and lower rates, right? Well, you can't even say that because the because of Open AI and the Open AI and moving forward, we have been able to show that it doesn't even matter, right? That technology is not just for lower rates, right? It could be for an increasing rate cycle also. All right. So it's going to be interesting. And I believe, yes, technology, but like I said, the S&P 500, in which I'll show the top five stocks, the top holdings, five holdings of the S&P 500, right? The top of the S&P 500, yes, consist of technology stocks. All right. So, but also in the news is big oil. Big oil right now, man, Venezuela, oil has a lot to do with geopolitics, right? So currently right now, we've just taken over Venezuela and we're going to take over their oil refineries. Man, I was just reading and it's so interesting. So I didn't know like the process of oil. Man, I have to shout out Wall Street Trapper has a great show, and I did not know the four parts of oil and how it matters in regards to what type of oil in the refinery. So, um, what we are as a country, we're great at refining oil, right? Taking heavy oil, where a lot of the refineries along Mexico, right? I'm sorry, along Texas, right? Deal with the heavy oil, right? So we take the heavy oil and we break the heavy oil down to different products, such as oil is used in clothing, right? Oil is used in natural gas, right? Oil is used in gasoline for your car, and oil. So oil is used for a bunch of different types of products that we make and sell. And yes, United States and the big oil companies, yes, they refine it and then they export it out to different countries around the world. And not everybody can break down the heavy oil because you think about the oil is heavy, then you can break it down to those different type of products. And the United States is one of the largest um, has one of the largest refinery capacities in the world, and that's one of the major reasons why we decided to go into Venezuela because yes, we have a very one of the largest stockpiles of oil in the world, but we don't have a lot of heavy oil, right? With heavy oil, you're able to make, from my understanding, you're able to make more products. Okay, I'm not a pro, but look, let's look into the S&P 500. What are the top companies in the S&P 500? Top oil companies. Man, you couldn't go far by knowing ExxonMobil, right? ExxonMobil. I like ExxonMobil's chart. I like Chevron too. Okay. I like Chevron too, and I like their charts right now. Their charts in consolidation. I wanted to upload the charts. I didn't even get to upload the charts of the day, but their charts are in what I call consolidation right now. So I think they're poised for a breakout. All right. That's my understanding. Now, having more oil doesn't mean it, but yes, having being able to refine and create more products from heavy oil, you're going to generate more revenue as a company. Therefore, therefore, those stocks should do well. And then also I'm always thinking about dividends. I'm always having a year of growth, right? We want stocks to grow. We want our portfolios to grow. But while they're growing, we need to make income because we have to live, right? I'm all about monthly and weekly, right? And quarterly income, right? And setting up what's called a dividend calendar, right? So you have a bunch of companies And when you put not a bunch of companies, it could be like 3 or 4 companies that pay dividends at different times during the year. And when you put these companies together in a portfolio, it can generate monthly income for you. Not only that, there are funds out here that will pay you monthly and weekly dividends. And when you put those two together, then you get it. Oh, and before I forget, let me get back. The information provided in the First Fruit Stock Club podcast is for educational and informational purposes only and should not be considered financial, investment, tax, legal advice. The views expressed by the hosts and guests are of their own and do not reflect the opinions of the financial institution or regulatory authority. Investing in stocks and other securities carries risk, including the potential loss of principal. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Always consult for licensed professional for making any investment decisions. The First Fruit Stock Club and its affiliates do not guarantee any specific outcomes or returns. By listening to this podcast, you acknowledge that you are responsible for your own investment decisions. So, getting back to big oil. Excuse me, I have to get my water in. Getting back to big oil, I think that oil is, especially as I think it's selling at like $50 a barrel right now. Um, like I said, yeah, it's a good time to buy. You never want to buy when it's at the peak, right? So oil companies, they pay great dividends and also they buy back a lot of stock. Okay. So it's great for a long-term dividend play where you can receive income on a quarterly. And like I said, you can also organize them where you receive income every month, right? And that's what we want. We want income every month, right? As well as what I'm gonna show you is we want also growth in our portfolio. I believe in separating the portfolios. You have a growth portfolio and you have an income portfolio. All right. So let's looked at Kevin Hassett and largest oil companies. All right. So look, Tesla, right? Tesla deliveries. Um, so Tesla deliveries are down 16%. But energy deployment, right? Tesla has the batteries for the home is up 47%. But remember, man, always remember that the stock market is not only about financials, it's about the story you can tell, right? Remember, it's about communication and the story you can tell. And when you have positive communication or you can communicate a future and a vision about your company and what it will be, then investors will hopefully, as you're a CEO, will buy in. All right. So this year is you'll really really see if you decided to buy into Tesla. All right. So these are the different things the buy-in Tesla wants you to do. Elon Musk, right? Robo taxi growth, right? Will robo taxis will they grow? Will they hit their estimates in regards to robo taxis? Cybercab in 2026, will they be live? And also robots and AI. These are the stories that Elon Musk is telling telling us. And will the market buy it this year? We'll see, right? Tesla's up, right? It's up over, I think up over 50 to 100% within the last year. I think it went from 200, now it's selling at 400. And so the market is buying it. All right. But we'll see, right? All right. Yes. Tesla closed at $431, right? And hit a low during the of $227, right? So, Tesla's, man, it's up. It's up close to, I think, $190. Right. So Wall Street is buying a story of robo taxis, buying a story of robots, buying the story. They're buying the story right now. So we'll see if this continues. Watch Tesla. Okay. All right. So the year of the S&P and 500, these are the top stocks in the S&P 500, right? And the S&P 500 has a weighting, and according to each stock makes up a percentage of the S&P 500. So these are the largest stocks that make up the largest percentage, take up the largest percentage in the S&P 500. It's Nvidia at 7.34%, Apple at 6.15%, Microsoft at 5.74%, Amazon at 4.13%, and Alphabet at 3.2%. And it's Class A and Class B thinks makes up like 2.9% after that. But I just did the top five. And I believe that these companies will drive. I mean, they've been driving, but I think really Microsoft has kind of lagged um, the stock market, and Google, right? Google has shown that is going to be the king of AI. It makes sense, right? It makes sense because um, while you have other companies, you have Open AI, right, who have to have a proven business model. Google already has a proven business model, been around for a long time, right? And they have revenue. They generate tons and tons of cash. So all they doing, so AI and their whole I forgot the name of their AI system, but their whole AI is just kind of what's called a bolt-on business for them, a new business with new revenue, it's a new revenue stream, right? And so we'll see but I think Google will be a good investment. Microsoft has been lagging. I like Microsoft this year. And Nvidia, of course. I mean, all these stocks have kind of, through the last few weeks have kind of come down from their highs. So I think that when the market is right and when the big boys get back in, these stocks will soon to take off. So these are the top five stocks in the S&P 500. What I believe, it's my opinion, not investment advice, of course. All right, man. I always like to look at how does the first week of the stock market. What are the top stocks in the stock market this year? Right, the best performing stocks in the first week. Doesn't mean anything. Does not mean that these stocks will do good, but I just wanted to take a look at this, and this is a list that you can also have for yourself. So you have ScanDisk, and I'm gonna get into detail on ScanDisk. Slumberger, I think that's how you pronounce it. Lamb Research, Halliburton, Old School Oil Company, Coinbase, right? All right. Tetradyne. I'm not too particular about this. Clack, yes, and IBKR Interactive Brokers. This company, I did some research. I just wanted the company, I think if you want to invest in interactive broker or brokerage companies, I think Robinhood has a phenomenal financial statement, right? I think their net profits is like 30 plus percent. So if I'm choosing in regards to brokers or brokerage companies, I think I'm going with Robinhood on this one. All right. And Applied Materials. But I want to get into ScanDisk, right? Because this one, man, ScanDisk was up. This is just the first week, but upon that, continue to improve, and it's been up over like $75 within the last uh 2 weeks. All right, so I gave that list. All right, so ScanDisk. So I'm gonna do a versus, right? ScanDisk versus Western Digital, right? And there's a reason why, right? So so ScanDisk, like I said, has been up uh, for the first week, 15%, but it's actually increased more than that since I got this information. ScanDisk this develops flash-based storage devices and solutions. I don't know if you have a ScanDisk or storage drive. I got a picture of one right here, one of my storage drives. They create these hard disk drives, right? Flash disk drives, right? For storage. Is definitely needed right now with in regards to content creation. If you have a camera, and that's more of the consumer base. But Their portfolio also spans to data centers, AI workloads, edge devices, and consumer storage. Is where I know ScanDisk from, right? So, like I say, you recognize USB flash drives plus enterprise and embedded industrial flash or devices and infrastructure. Okay. So corporate history, and the reason why I picked ScanDisk and Western Digital, ScanDisk was acquired by Western Digital in a deal in May 2016. And then Western Digital later spun off his flash business, right? So, like I said, the flash business is more of a consumer-based business right now, right? So what happens is a lot of times when companies have a enterprise, which is more a business to business, right? Enterprise, which is business to business, right? They have an enterprise, which is business to business. If they have a consumer based business, they'll usually spin this business off. The reason why, and the reason why companies do this is because consumer based businesses are usually have great valuations, right? And sometimes when they're embedded inside a company that's basically dealt with enterprise, right? Then you want to what's called unlock the value, and you unlock the value by spinning a company off. I'm gonna give you some secret. Let me tell you, ScanDisk. Like I said, I didn't get really a chance to upload these charts, but ScanDisk, I think, man, let me just. I hate that I didn't get these charts, but ScanDisk since August of 2025, it opened at $45.50. ScanDisk just recently closed at $353.50. And let me tell you, when I started to analyze ScanDisk, and let me close this out. Western Digital. So Western Digital, like I said, ScanDisk was purchased by Western Digital, right? But Western Digital has a great financial statement that has their net profits are like close to I think high 20% a year. ScanDisk has negative net income, right? So you're like, man, why does this company have negative net income, but has gone from $45 to 300 and something dollars per year? I started to do the research. And when I looked at it, right, of course, with AI and also storage is a really big thing right now for these for AI. But one of the reasons why ScanDisk is going such on a run, if you look at the 3-year buyback, right? 3-year buyback of its shares, ScanDisk has been buying basically according to 99% of the other companies that's in that's competing against ScanDisk. ScanDisk has bought back 10 times more shares, right? So what happens is when a company buys shares and it takes shares off the market, it's more of a supply and demand thing, right? So less shares, meaning that when the demand goes for buying new shares, guess what happens? The price skyrockets because there's not a lot of shares out there. So that's one of the inside scoops that I like to do, and I like to do research and find out why it's because if you look at the financial scan, this like had negative $12 per share net income, right? But Western Digital has great net income, right? So you're just wondering why, and I think this is one of the reasons because the shares they have been buying back shares, right? The last 3 years. Now this year they haven't bought back as much, and I think they're starting to reinvest back in the business. So I think this may be a play throughout the year, just for the fact of there's not a lot of shares. Well, the amount of shares that was on the market have been dramatically reduced compared to the other companies that it's competing with in this marketplace. All right, so therefore the demand goes up. Man, this has been a great show. Man, beginning of the year. I think I gave you guys some interesting stocks to look at. S&P 500, Remember, I said it that this is probably going to be one of the best years for the S&P 500. I think the S&P 500 may close close to 8,000. Like I think that that's where we're going to be for next year. So I'm looking for a really good year in the SP 5. Could be wrong. Like this is not investment advice, right? I could be wrong. I'm just making an estimation, but I think the S&P 500 is going to have a wonderful year. And so not only look at the top 5, when we go down and look at some of the other companies that make up the S&P 500, you may find some great companies in there. I'm going to do some research. Of course, I'm going to put it in my club, First Fruit Stock Club, right? The companies, but I thought I'd give you guys some information to do. Look, my family and I look. I listen to at the end of the year. I listen to a great podcast, and oh my gosh, Mel Robbins. She has the number one podcast, right? I think on the Apple Store or all podcasts. She has number one podcast, right? And she had a great end of the year uh uh what would we call it? Family reflection. We'll call it family reflection exercise, right? And the exercise was about asking 6 questions, asking each other 6 questions. And we did this, we didn't really do too much for the new year. Show you guys my face. Sorry. We didn't really do too much for the new year, right? And what we did we did okay, yeah, we did go through this exercise right before the new year. So man, I'll probably put the questions up, but it was 6 great questions that we all had pen and paper. I sat down with my boys, my wife, and it was a reflection exercise. And this is an exercise you should do as an individual, but also a reflection exercise that you should do as a trader, right? As an investor. All right. So the first question, right, of six questions. All right. First question was, what was the lowest point of your year? Right? What was the lowest point of your year? Right? The next question was, what was the highest point of your year? Like I said, you can do it as an individual or you can do it as a trader. Trader is like, what is the lowest, the worst trade of the year? All right. And then what's the best trade that you had here? All right. What do you want to stop doing in the new year in 2027? What do you want to start doing? Right? As a trader, what do you want to stop doing? As a trader, what do you want to start doing? Right? Hey, I want to stop, day trading. I want to move to long-term trades, for example. Right? And what do you want to continue doing? What was working for you that you really want to continue doing and maybe take to the next level next year? Right? And then after you go through all that, the last question is, what are the lessons you learned and the wisdom you gain from the last 12 months of your life or of your trading life? I'm going to say it again. What are the lessons you learned and the wisdom you gained from the last 12 months of your life and your trading life? This is a great reflection exercise that I went through with my boys. Man, I was so proud of them. They gave me a lot of insight. They really thought deeply about these questions as well as I needed to think deeply. And my wife was thinking deeply also, having a time of reflection so we can move forward into the next year, right? With clear mind, clear thoughts, right? And just moving forward because life is about always moving forward. But in order to move forward, maybe we need to reflect a little bit, right? So, man, great show. Thank you guys for giving me a few moments of your time. And once again, 2026 is here. Man, be thankful, right? and always take it to the next level and be fruitful. I'm Donald Green, founder of the First Fruit Stock Club and podcast. See you next week.
The market is volatile, the stocks keep going down. Then boom, we hit new highs. Everything is different now, but you don't gotta chase. Don't panic, don't stress. Time to realign, plan it out, invest. It's the First Fruits Podcast. We elevating with the First Fruits Podcast. No time for waiting, time to grow, give back, reinvest like that. Everything you need to know, the First Fruits Podcast. Let's go. Thank you.